Yeah. As a scoring a goal, right? As a scoring a last minute winner, something like that, would have been painful, and it would have been sort of the narrative that we could have seen happening. The fact that he's genuinely scored a hat-trick in this one is just mad. And it completely plays into what I've said on here before, that as Tottenham Hotspur fans, we are living in hell. We have done something, be it in this life or a previous one, whatever you choose to believe, that has seen us now residing in some sort of layer of hell. And so we have to endure this type of thing. We have to endure, obviously, the guy that mugged us off in summer to sign for them, score a hat-trick against us. First hat-trick in a North London derby, I think they said, since the 70s. But that's not the real story here. That's not the real story. Look, Ez has done that. Arsenal have done that to us. It is what it is. But the real story here is, once again, this is another game against a team with, should we say a game of some profile? That's the way I put it on Twitter, a game of some profile. So the Chelsea game before this, the Arsenal game now, another game where Thomas Frank has approached this match and clearly has just been thinking, how can we stop the opposition? How can we stop what the opposition do? And whatever it is that he intends Tottenham's identity to be, whatever it is that he apparently wants us to be displaying on the pitch, just gets completely sidelined. He gets completely sidelined as we switch our formation completely to mimic one that he implemented at at Brentford. Same difference, isn't it? Tin Pot Club. The same formation that he's done at Brentford, again, when he plays bigger sides. And just do what? What was it? Any time, any sort of the slightest chance that we had when we were in possession, what were we actually doing with it? What had they been drilled to do all week? Because every time I saw us in possession, I saw our players look terrified. I saw them look clueless. I saw them have absolutely no idea what they should be doing, how this system was supposed to be working, what they were supposed to be doing in possession of the ball. It looked like a system and a team that had been drilled entirely to stop the opposition. Now, there may be some individual culpability here. There may be a lot of this rests on the players, on their technical ability. You know, some people may say, oh, well, what he's doing should work in principle, but we don't have the players for it, blah, 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 blah. As I said about Ange Postecoglou, and as I will say about Thomas Frank, I will say exactly the same thing. As much as I believe, and I agree with the consensus, and I personally believe that we are a good few players off of having a top quality side. The players that we do have available to us are better than these sort of performances, are better than what he is getting out of them pretty much consistently. Great. You slap Copenhagen. That's good and that's fun, and I'm not going to say otherwise, right? But they're a championship, if not League One side. And that's not some like British-centric gammon bollocks. It's just talking real, right? FC Copenhagen are a nothing team. They would struggle in the championship. You know, and great, we can knock a team like that about 4-0, great. But games like this against Arsenal, when the entire game plan is stop them, is pathetic. And what makes it even more pathetic is the fact that we didn't stop them. They scored 4 goals against us. I'm not at the point where I'm going to sit here and say, get him out, I think it's done. But I am at the point where, you know, look, it's feeling, to me, it's feeling decidedly Nuno-esque. It's feeling like a guy who I don't look. I've seen a few sort of vitriolic takes about him, people calling him all sorts of swear words, all this type of thing. I don't have that feeling towards Thomas Frank. I don't have that feeling towards him. I think he seems like a nice guy. I think he seems like a good guy. The same way I felt about Nuno. It feels, I think it feels quite uncomfortable, and it feels quite unfair to see people abusing him and saying all these sorts of things about his character and stuff, which I don't agree with. I think just quite simply, the truth of the matter is, as it was with Nuno, I just don't think this guy has taken the step up. I don't think he has. And I'm not saying he's incapable of doing it. I'm not saying that, maybe in a few months' time, Thomas Frank won't have gotten a swing of things. But right now, what we're seeing from Thomas Frank is a guy who is managing Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as if we are Brentford. And whatever games like today show us, whatever Arsenal fans want to talk about us, whatever Chelsea fans want to say about us, that's their prerogative as rival fans. They can say whatever they want. But I know, and most of you know as Spurs fans, we are better than this. We do have principles that should be adhered to. And Thomas Frank needs to learn that quickly. He needs to learn that quickly, and he needs to look like he is managing to handle this step up. Because right now, he looks lost. He looks lost. And I feel this so strongly today. I don't really want to go in on any of the players. I don't really look at that and think like, God, the players really let him down today. Yeah, there was a bit of I would say there was a lack of fight overall. I think there was some sloppy decision making. I feel like for which goal was it? The third goal they scored straight after half time. We looked like we hadn't come out of the blocks. It looked like the players were all over the shop. I think we picked up the ball outside our own box. Looked like we didn't know what we wanted to do with it. But to me, that comes back to the manager. That comes back to the manager, his coaching team, whoever it is, and whatever it is they've been doing all week is either not translated or has not been effective. It's not been a tangible or well thought out plan, because there is absolutely nothing that Spurs did today that I can put a positive spin on. Absolutely nothing. We scored a wonder goal out of nowhere. Richarlison scored a wonder goal. Well done. A consolation goal on the 60th minute, and that's what it was, and that's what we all knew it was. We scored that goal, and there was no kind of concerted effort to go forwards, to stick it to Arsenal, to go for them. And I know it. I know they're a good team. They're top of the table. They're going to win the league this year. They are. Just deal with that. They are going to. They've probably already won the league. It's early to be saying that. They've won it. We know they've won it. You know it. The truth is staring you in the face. They've won the league already. Come to terms with it. Right? They're a good side. They're the best side in the country. They play horrible football. It's a real disgusting way to win the league. Kicking, fouling, cheating the way they do, going down screaming, holding their faces, all this stuff. It's the lowest form of football. And it all comes from that stinking rat Arteta in charge of their club. It's him personified. It is exactly him, a disgusting little man. But they're going to win. That disgusting little man is going to win the league. And they're going to do it. And they are a good side. But that doesn't mean that we should be, as a rival side, it doesn't mean we should be approaching games like that against them. They never did that with us. They never did that when we had Kane, Son, Eriksen, Ali, all those players when we were miles better than them. We had a decade of being a better side than them. And every single North London derby, still, they came for us. They tried to give us a game. And Thomas Frank has gone into that and thought, what's damage limitation here? And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. There is absolutely no positives from today. Not only did we get battered by Arsenal, just as a match, just as a game of association football, there is absolutely nothing that Tottenham Hotspur Football Club did today that is worthy of any sense of pride, that it hints at any kind of green shoots, that is any kind of silver lining, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was a game completely devoid of promise, devoid of joy, just terrible. We might as well have not even shown up. We might as well have just forfeited the game, given them 3 points. A pathetic, meek, nothing performance in what is supposed to be one of our biggest games in the season. It's an absolutely abysmal reflection on Thomas Frank, on the club, on everything, on the squad building we've been doing for the past few years. The fact that, and I say it again, and people are probably getting bored of hearing it, but the fact we could have had that Pochettino team and we've allowed it, Daniel Levy and the people that run the club have allowed it to become the sort of thing that it is today. And I know football's cyclical, but what was our cycle? Our cycle was we were building towards being a really good side, and then we just couldn't be asked. And then we just let it fall to pieces and picked up whatever bargain player we could along the way, Richarlison and this sort of thing, hoping that will somehow. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's all coming to a head, right? At least we got the Europa League last year. Brilliant, wonderful, wonderful times, wonderful memory. But if things don't change in a big way, if the Lewis family are not serious, and Antoine Semenyo, right? He's there. Antoine Semenyo is there. There is a 65 million, but David Ornstein has obviously been told by Semenyo's agent, right, that there is a 65 million pound release clause in his contract. If we're not going for him now, so that come January time, as soon as the transfer window opens, he is ready to sign for our club, the Lewis family are not serious. They're not. Manchester City, Liverpool, whoever else might come in and swoop him. And if those teams do, there's a high chance we're not going to be able to sign him because, let's be honest, it's the pecking order. But if we are not in the conversation, if we are not already smashing down Bournemouth's door, trying to get him in, what are we doing? What are they doing? And I'm saying this from the perspective of, right, this is a new ownership that said we want to do things differently. We want to change the perception of Tottenham, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff they've been saying. Well, there's a player exactly of the sort of quality that we need, that is attainable for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who would give our forward line a lift. Do it. No messing about. No messing about anymore. Do it. Get it sorted. It's just awful. It's an awful afternoon, awful performance. Perfect weekend for Arsenal. Perfect weekend for them. They've won it. They've done it. James Reed says, how close are we to seeing the corner flag? It's not usually the corner flag with us, James. It's the emblem on the side of the stadium, isn't it? Words are not forthcoming for how insipid that was. Frank out. Ricochet Pig says, when will the players and manager grasp the importance of this fixture? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? We're all very good. We're very good as a club at doing these, and I said this before, and I get it. I know this is one of those things where you're going to think I'm a gammon or whatever, but we love doing these sort of promo videos. This time around, we got AJ Tracy roped in and we've done a tune and all that sort of stuff for the North London derby. We seem to flip between what they do is they do one of the old school stirring ones for the gammons and the old farts, and then they do like another one which will be geared towards younger people. They seem to flip-flop between that with the creative at Spurs. That's what we're always doing. That's what most football clubs are doing, balancing between that. So it's nothing to do with the creative. I'm not being a gammon going on about Spurs using AJ Tracy, nothing like that. I'm simply talking about the fact that Spurs love to produce a promo ahead of the North London derby, right? And I understand it. That's what football is. It's a PR exercise. It's a big marketing exercise. That's what the whole game is now, right? It's all about being flashy. It's all about being WWE, all that type of stuff, right? Boxing, all this type of thing, right? We're leaning into like the American trappings of sport, the spectacle around sport, not just the game itself. And so I understand why a club is going to utilise like one of the biggest games in the season to go for it. But do you know what? Somebody like Vinay, who is supposedly coming in, that is supposed to be somebody that is going to really be able to, sense the temperature in the fan base, right? Really get a sense check, finger on the pulse, right? Why can't every now and again, ahead of one of these games, we just do nothing? We don't hype it up. We don't say, this is us. This is our streets. This game is everything. This is what it means. Blah, 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 blah. All that type of all those mawkish platitudes that we do in these stupid videos when we turn out insipid performance after performance after performance in this game. Why don't we just focus as a club on actually treating these games seriously, going into them properly, stop with all the chat, go into one of these games and actually, I'm not saying go and win at the Emirates. It's a hard place to go and win. Arsenal actually don't lose many games at the Emirates, really. They only seem to lose to Aston Villa or Brighton. But they don't really lose many games at the Emirates. But why can't we at least put some fighting in these games? And I know I'm sounding whingy and whiny, but I'm tired of it, man. I'm 40 years old. I've seen us do this year after year after year, year after year, of us just not playing, of us just showing up there and okay, you're going to score. Oh, you want to win. Oh, give us a chance. It's just pathetic. It's awful. But yeah, great. We've got these promos and stuff that we do where we talk about how much it means to us and how this means everything. And, North London is ours and blah, 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 blah. Well, do you know what? I tell you what I'd rather the club do. I'd rather the club looked at us and thought, God, you know what, actually? They've spent hundreds of millions of pounds. And do you know what, actually, when you sort of compare our earnings and all that type of stuff, profit, loss and everything, actually the clubs are on a sort of on an even footing nowadays. So if they're spending hundreds of millions of pounds every single year and actually now getting to the top of the table, maybe we could do that. Why don't we do that actually instead? No. Actually, no. Let's just do another video before a North London derby. Let's do another video before a North London derby capitulation. No. We don't want any of this spending money. We don't want any of this sort of going out and saying we're going to, try and challenge for the league or anything like that. No. Less of that talk here. Let's just always go into most fixtures like this and always with that sense of, well, it's going to be tough. We need to respect the opposition. And Frank was doing that in the pre-match presser to this, but he's not the only one that's done that. Pretty much every single year. And as much as I dug him out, Postecoglou was one of the only ones that didn't really do that. He just didn't know how to manage a football team, ultimately. He had good chat, but, whatever. I'm not getting into that one again because I see the comments are already full of bro, you wanted Ange out. I just... Benedict Fox says, I am a petty and weak man, but this was it for Frank and me. This was not only a cowardly setup, but a tactically bad one. He now has a stink on him that won't come off. Sasha Foso says, absolutely hideous. Every year the same thing. Only these days we get done at home against them as well. It's like the early 2000s again. I switched off after the third. We've got another one from Big Y1604 says, thought the 0xG against Chelsea was the absolute bottom of the barrel, but trust us to somehow be even worse against Arsenal. Beat plate, of all the abysmal Emirates performances down the years, this was the nadir. What was the plan? I'm done with Frank already. Wrong fit for Tottenham. I mean, the thing is, going back to what Benedict Fox said there and kind of touching on what Beat Plate is saying here, I'm not sat here trying to contradict it. I'm not sat here saying, just give him time, allow him to do what. The thing for me is, Nuno early doors, we knew was not right for this club. We knew he wasn't, right? He was a lovely bloke. He's doing a decent job for West Ham now. He's pretty much done he's done a very good job at Forest, He does a good job in most places he went, but he could not handle the pressure, the size of the club that Tottenham Hotspur are, right? It's feeling like that early doors for Thomas Frank already. The difference is there isn't an out of contract Antonio Conte breathing down his neck. Some people have said Xavi, bring him in. I'm pretty sure one of the big issues that people had with Xavi when they were talking about Xavi Hernandez, when people were talking about him in summer, is that the type of football he plays is not the type of football we want at Spurs. So what, we get rid of Frank and we bring in a fella who plays, again, a similar type of football? I don't know. I don't know about that. There isn't, for me, there isn't a fit. There isn't a candidate. What happens, Do we wait for after the World Cup and get Pochettino back? I don't know. Like, is that the win that I think Vinay Venkateshan thinks he maybe has? Do we give it one more chance? Do we give Hefe one more chance? He seemingly is starting to turn it around. Like, he had his characteristically bad Pochettino start with the USA that is seemingly starting to change a little bit now. I don't know. I'm sat here in 2025 still pining after Pochettino, and I probably will be in 2026. But I just, there's narrative behind it. There's like, is there one more rodeo here? Well, I don't know why it's a rodeo, but is there one more opportunity here for Pochettino and Tottenham to do something? Is there? I don't know. But who else comes in? A lot of people want Oliver Glasner. When I was talking about Oliver Glasner on here a few weeks ago, I do apologise, but somebody on Blue Sky gave me a pretty, compelling reason as to why Oliver Glasner would not be a good fit at Tottenham. And it seemingly, like, if I'm going to distill it into a layman's proper football man way, the point he was making is that he basically plays the same sort of football that Thomas Frank plays, really. But is this what football is now? Is this what it is? If Thomas Frank, if Spurs go mad, in January, and we do bring in Semenyo and Elliot Anderson or, Wharton or somebody like that, right? And suddenly it looks like Thomas Frank's got better players at his disposal. Does he start to get a tune out of them? Do we suddenly all of a sudden, do we start looking better as a football team? I don't know. I really don't know. That's just Ribena for YouTube's purposes. Alan Tucker 1911 says, just awful. I should be annoyed by that result, but I'm left with a kind of numb desolation. Late Conte era levels of emotional detachment from Spurs, a side that inspires no optimism or joy. Wilson T6303 says, Frank played 5-3-2 instead of 3-5-2. Big difference. Frank will never last here. Need to get used to it. Top Spurs H says, we've gone there with a formation and evidently a mentality of a small team. Yes, Arsenal are a very good side, but going to a North London derby with such a deferential approach is pitiful. Phil Mayo 3, we were uncompetitive in a North London derby, entirely uncompetitive. It beggars belief that people can be defending this. Jack Underhill 444 says, chin up lads, we got an R9 worldie. 200 Napkins says, dearie, dearie me, taking all bets. How many more times are we going to say that was the worst performance of the season? I think we'll say it 9 more times. Kugo 8760, gutless performance, and there were some folks warning us about Frank from the very beginning. He's got to go. Ben Mathias, hello mate, says, get him gone. The who's Eze comment to serve that up. Oh God, I forgot about that. Oh, God. I forgot about that. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't make it any better, does it? But, yeah, Frank, ahead of this in the pre-match presser, when they basically, somebody said to him, are you gutted to have missed out on Eze? It's going to be a bit awkward facing him. And it was quite uncharacteristic for him. And I think he's a bit rattled by people calling him boring all the time. Did this whole kind of cringy, who, thing. And I was just like, now, like, that was whoever it was. I think it was Haters or somebody that posted it out obviously the comments are all full of Arsenal fans being like, I'm desperate for an Eze masterclass after this one. It's got, it's got shades of that, whoever that pirate one, bully, whose name is Harry Kane. Oh, I can't believe it. A non-nomad. Feels like we're back in 2004. Team is just nowhere in terms of potential and direction. Echo Sonic Music. Only started watching 10 minutes in and thought we'd had 2 players sent off. Given how many Goon players there seem to be swarming around ours. Scott Esser says, 0 Order est Fakier. Again, he's not the one. Callum 5252, nice guy, but all that talk of playing no risk is a risk was just utter tripe, wasn't it? Coward, get him gone. Soul Sniper Gaming, the issue is midfield, simple. Paulinia and Bentancur sell. Time to play Bergvall and Gray. Look, Bentancur, I cannot believe we gave him a new contract. I genuinely can't believe it. A long-term contract at that. I can't believe it. I can't believe we've done that. The guy is like not been fit for purpose for at least a season and a half. Great, he has flashes of brilliance because he was once a good player. That player has since had 2 serious knee injuries. He does not have the dynamism, the physicality, or just the quickness of thought to occupy the centre of midfield for a Premier League side that has these aspirations of challenging. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, and I know I said I wasn't going to go for the players, but he is one player that that really stood out for me today as just being a coward. A player that it was a performance minus the sort of hand waving and pointing and berating his teammates that was absolutely reminiscent of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Just absolutely hid. Never offered himself up as an option. Didn't get stuck in. Never looked to play anything meaningful. Nothing. An absolute coward's performance. Pat Matasar had to start this game. He had to start this game. James Forster 6882 says, shambles that was. Question marks on the manager. Biggest concern is the identity of Frank's team. It's a whole lot of nothing. They seem to try to snatch a set piece. Yep. Brian Park 6906. 0.1 XG against Chelsea, 0.7 XG today against the Scum. This feels very Nuno. James Forster also saying, reminds me of Nuno at Spurs. Ben Mathis, 4 open play goals. Deary me. God, they were all open play as well, weren't they? Mr. Stephen Stotch says, I can accept if they were better than us, but yet another London derby under Frank and we play like that. We're not hard to beat, like people say, and we're terrible going forwards. Get Harry Redknapp back. I don't know about that. And on Nomad said, it's so funny. Arsenal, the team that only scores set-piece goals, scored 4 open play goals against us. James Nicholson says, Frank is a nice guy, but he's out of his depth, never going to work. Soul Sniper Gaming says, Danso not good enough. Bentancur, I think Danso is good enough to be a rotation option centre-back for us. That's what I like about him. As I've said in the past, and I'm not trying to do like a talented show or anything, but I have. The receipts are there. I've said in the past, when Danso plays a few games, when he starts starting a few games, you begin seeing his weaknesses that indicate that he's not like a top draw player. But I think he's very good. I think he's a very good backup player, very good rotation option. But yeah, he's not taking Romero or Van der Ven's place, is he? M. Tamarit says, so frustrated at the approach every game seems to be, how can we avoid losing today? It's not even just the big teams, it's every single game. No press, no counter, just defend and lump it. Yeah, Wilson T says, get the likes up, over 100 in. Thank you, Wilson. Yeah, do. If you are watching this on YouTube live, please drop us a like. Why not? You know, it's easy. It's easy to do, isn't it? Karate FC says, are we frank out? I still blame Levy. I'm like I say, I'm not frank out yet, but I'm definitely teetering towards, does he know what he's doing, basically. Isle of Lily White says, been franking until now, but that was bad, really bad. Some might say sackable. Thanks as ever for the pod, Jack. No worries, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Bin Guy says Ange is much better. Well, he won a trophy, didn't he? But, you know, it's a bit bald men fighting over a comb. But, you know, Ronnie Sai 3 So says, Tom, do you know what I've got to say, right? When people sort of write with a name that's like a mixture of numbers and letters and stuff, I'm always just trying to get up to speed. Like, am I getting Moe's Taverned here? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's your postcode, mate? NE14BJ, you know, that sort of thing. So that's why I kind of sometimes read them out a bit. Whatever, you know. Thomas Frank should be gone after this game. No ifs, no buts. This just isn't good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. The decisions, the tactics, the complete lack of identity. The comments have just refreshed like they like to do. Red Smoke 84 says, lots of crying eyes emojis, Spurs tears. Yeah, there we are, mate. Enjoy it. That I am assuming Red Smoke means an Arsenal fan, doesn't it? Alan Leslie, hello mate, says, that was awful. I don't even know who to blame. Did you go down, Alan, today? Are you on the train back up? I hope you got a few tinnies for the train if you are on your way back up, mate. Wilson T said, we had a player like Kudus in the game and we didn't even bloody use him. Jozo Bozo says, you can't be mad if you're not surprised. We'd love a manager that doesn't constantly glaze the other team before that's a rude thing, isn't it? Before we play them. It's always what we've got to do to stop the other teams annoying. Yep. Echo Sonic Music says, we need some houses for the midfield. Players that growl instead of smile. I mean, that's kind of what Polinia is, isn't it? But, you know, I don't know. Oh, God. Joey August THFC says, I haven't watched a match in weeks, and I didn't mind that one bit. You know, there's lots of comments today, and lots of people are all. I haven't really seen anybody say. I've not seen. I've genuinely not seen a single person like stick up for Frank today at all. You know, that's kind of telling, isn't it? When it gets to that point, Coys McCoy's face. I know sacking the manager every few months is not the answer, but I'm growing increasingly frustrated with Frank's style. Maybe Frank's smile as well. This is a raw take, but I'm not sure he's the man. Stel Morrison says, no words other than to give big hugs to all of us. It isn't easy supporting this club, but we move. We move to where, mate? I love very nice sentiment. Thank you, mate. But also, where do we move to? What are we doing? Where are we going? Championship? You know? I don't know. Chickling says, bring Xavi in. He is perfect. Possession. Is he? I don't know. Maybe. Or bring Nagelsmann in. He's not going to. Nagelsmann isn't going to ditch Germany ahead of a World Cup and come to Tottenham, mate. He didn't want to come to Tottenham before. He's not going to do it now. Like, you know, It's not going to happen. Okay, right. Everything for Nagelsmann after the World Cup. Maybe, but he didn't want to come to us before. It might be the same thing. Cry de Lass says, I'm not going to throw away a season just to wait for Poch and no guarantees of it working. Yeah, fair point. You know, I'm not going to argue that. I just don't see who else comes in at this point. I honestly don't. Adam Stube says, hard to recover from that for Frank, if I'm honest. And now there's quite a few Arsenal fans coming in, blah, 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 blah. Harry James says, I work with a gooner who always gives me grief. Any advice on how not to get sacked tomorrow? Pull a sickie, mate. Pull a sickie. Lord Oishi says, first strains of tension between the players and Frank. Interesting Vicario comments post-match. To Google. Let's have a look. Vicario, Tottenham, Arsenal. Let's have a look at this now. What has he said? Has he said anything? Blah, blah, blah. I can't find it. Let me have a look on Twitter and see if there's anything from Vicario on there. If not, I'm not going to spend too much of this Googling stuff and finding it out. But, you know, still, it is quite interesting because I want to see what has been said by Vicario. Is there anything at all? Oh, here we go. Right, here we go. I don't know if that's the part. Maybe there's more questions there that they haven't spoken about there. I don't even know if you could hear that in the background there. He was just talking about the lack of fight and everything like that on display from the players. It's just, you know, it's abysmal, isn't it? Do you know what Adam Stube has said? Name one player from our current team that gets into the Pochettino team. Just one. We're a shadow of our former selves. I literally said that to the lads on WhatsApp as we were watching this. I was like, there is not a single player in this team. Maybe the bench. There is not a single player that takes anyone's place from the peak Pochettino team. Not a single player for me. For my money, for that peak 16, 17, 17, 18 team, there's not a single player. Not a single player. And that's pretty damning. Like, that's pretty awful. Like, that team was exceptional. That team was one of the best teams in Europe. It was, but still, you know. Ah, man. Apparently, Frank post-match said something that we didn't win enough duels. He's on another planet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just... It's just awful, isn't it? Awful. Like, I can't believe it. Like, it's bad enough that we get battered by them. It really is bad enough that we get battered by them. But again, just the whole narrative of it, it's never enough. It's never enough, like, when you're a Spurs fan, whatever, pull me another, all that type of thing. But it's never enough, is it, when you're a Spurs fan, for it just to be that we lose, right? It can't just be Trossard gets one, Eza gets one, Saliba gets one from a corner, whatever. Do you know what I mean? They still win 4-1. No, it has to be as well. Has to be an Eza hat trick, doesn't it? Like back in the day, it can't just be that they take Campbell off us. No. They have to go in a season invincible and win the league at our stadium with him as well. It just, they just don't get it. Like, and the thing is, when people talk about Spurs fans being tetchy and they talk about and this is the other thing. A good mate of mine, Richard, he said years ago when Spurs started to get good, right? And people were like, no, don't be bawdy about it. Don't be brash about it. Like, have some class. Don't act like Arsenal have done for years, all this type of thing. He always said, be as bawdy. When Spurs are good and when we beat Arsenal, don't think about the bigger picture. Don't think about the context. Rub it in their faces. Rub it in their faces because you never know when the next time is going to be. Every time Spurs do something good, just cling on to it, right? And be as loud and proud about it as you want. Because they've done so much to us down the years, and so many people talk about Spurs fans, this and that, and blah 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 blah. Honestly, there are so few. All right, there's clubs that whatever Bog Trotter FC that went out of business because they brought in some ex-car dealer as a chairman, and they went out of business. Whatever. You're League Two, no one cares. But in terms of top flight teams, in terms of teams that have the eyes of the nation on them, there is nobody that quite gets it like Spurs. The fact that Chelsea and Arsenal are our two biggest rivals, who happen to be two of the country's most successful teams. So we get that rubbed in our faces constantly. And there's just always these narratives that we sometimes don't help ourselves, don't get me wrong. But also, I just can't believe it. A hat trick, man. 4-1. No, I'm not going to do the players today. I'm not going to do the players because I don't really have an awful lot to say about them. It's a miserable game. Miserable game. Awful. No, like I say, no glimmer of hope, no glimmer of light from that performance whatsoever. Utterly abject, utterly abysmal, awful. We have to hold that L and all that, right? We have to take that. And yeah, hope for another Harry Kane or something at some point. I don't know. I'm just, I'm sick of seeing this. How did they get as bad as they did and come back and just be better than us already? Why couldn't they have just stayed bad? And why couldn't we have just stayed good? Why doesn't it work that way? And that's Daniel Levy's legacy. That is. I'm just whining now. I'll be doing another podcast tomorrow. I can't imagine it'll be any more, cheerful than this, but I'm going to have Phil on tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Obviously, this has been recorded on the final whistle. So if you are somebody that's listening to this a day later and wondering why I am, moaning in this fashion, I've literally walked upstairs after finishing that game and started recording this. So this is on the final whistle of us just getting battered 4-1 by Arsenal. Not a fun evening, not nice. Is what it is. We go again and all that type of thing. But, not good. If you have enjoyed the podcast and if you do enjoy it in general, please do leave a rating. Please do leave a review. If you're somebody that doesn't like adverts and all that type of thing, you can sign up to the Patreon and get every episode of the podcast completely ad-free. That will be on the supporter tier. If you want to come to the Inner Sanctum tier, you get extra podcasts, match previews, that type of thing. if you're watching on YouTube or that type of thing, please like and subscribe, all that sort of thing. Ratings, reviews, blah, blah, blah. Miserable evening. Miserable. Nothing more I can say. Thanks for listening. Good luck with the week ahead and all your Arsenal mates.